Hello, my wonderful Facebook family. How are you today? Your girl Raquel here from yourspiritualrock.com, where I help you get the answers that you seek. And if you are watching me under another social media platform, hello. So glad that you are hanging out with me today. Today, I wanted to bring you the Wisdom Wednesday nugget, and that has to do with the secret sauce to really get you the prosperity that you want. There's really one thing. Sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable on my couch. That is going to help you in anything. It's going to help you in your personal relationships, your work relationships, and anything that you want, because everything that you want is connected to someone else. Period. Everything that you want. Well, even if you're shopping online, someone is going to be on the other end of that experience, doing the customer service for you, packing that item, sending it to you if you have any questions. Hi, Deborah. How are you? They're going to be the one that you're going to contact. So if something happens, you're going to want to communicate in a way that they hear you. And so anything that you want is going to be connected to someone else. So what is the secret sauce? Really, people don't understand this. And if you understand this, you will be prosperous in every area of your life. You will see prosperity. Everybody wants strategy, and I'm a strategist, and that's great. But really, it's the soft skill of emotional intelligence. And I can't stress this enough. There are so many people who are highly intelligent, but because they don't have high emotional intelligence, they end up losing opportunities and having doors closed to them. I know a lot of people who, because of their high IQ, they create beautiful things. They're probably the best in their field. They're better than their counterparts, but they're not experiencing the success that they want, and they get frustrated. Like, I know I'm better than this person, or my art is better than them, then my music is better than them. My performance is better. Yes, it might be better, but you being the best at what you do means nothing if you don't know how to communicate effectively. There's a couple stories that I think will help illustrate this, that might help you understand where I'm going with this and why I talk about this all the time, because it's really the secret weapon for you. And it's something that you can easily learn. If you're not born charismatic, it's fine. You learn the soft skill, because this is going to transfer into everything that you touch. If you are working during the day and your day job transitioning to your dream job, you're going to be able to transition faster when you do the work, when you get to really raise your EQ, your emotional intelligence. Those that do tend to make, 10%, 20%, 25% more than their counterparts, because they know how to connect. The purpose of communication is to connect with people. And so how you're going to be successful is that you're going to be able to communicate your services and your products in a way that the person that you're speaking to can receive it, so they hear you. It is not enough that they see you. They have to hear you. They have to connect with you. They have to feel like there's something about you that makes them different, something about you that it's almost a combination where you have to be some of the same, right? Because it's rapport. Really, all people prefer others reflecting themselves. They have to be able to see part of you. I miss you too, Anna. Hi. Part of them in you. And when they can see, or they can sense, or they can feel, they have this gut reaction. They don't know why they like you. And the reason that they like you is because there's something about you that reminds them of the good part of them. And so that then allows them to lower their walls so they can hear you, they can trust you. And once they trust you, they'll do business with you. So if you're a small business owner, you're the backbone of the economy. It is imperative for you to do well. It is imperative for you to be successful, because it is the small business owner that's really the backbone. It is not all these big companies, these billion-dollar companies. It's the small business people that really make communities thrive. So if you are all up in arms about social justice and making social changes, one of the fastest way that you can do that is to be successful in your community. They need success stories where you're at. Bloom where you're planted. You're planted in that community for a reason, and it's because you're supposed to be fruitful. You have to be fruitful so that other people can see your success, and then you can tell them, then you have their ear, and you can talk about other important things. Your business is absolutely important, but it's only a gateway. It's an opportunity for you to be able to talk about those things that are even more important to you, like social justice, social change, whatever it is that floats your boat that makes you really excited besides your business. So your business is your gateway. So you need to start taking it more seriously and honoring yourself and honoring your business. And even if you're not a business owner, if you want to get promoted, this is the way you get promoted. It is not enough for you to be good on paper. It is not enough that you perform well. I'm sorry, it's not. And you're like, well, that's not fair. Well, I'm telling you, I'm giving you the strategy to get that promotion you want. I'm giving you the strategy right now to get what you want. And to get what you want, you need to raise your emotional intelligence. So here's a story. Here's a made-up story, and then I'll tell you a true story. So this is the truth, and I see it over and over and over again. So there was a girl named Maria and a guy named Alberto. They're both up for the job, and they're both qualified on paper. Maria was seen by Alberto, talking to people and, laughing with them and connecting with them, helping them out, doing things that are outside of her job. Now, Alberto, super smart, can work in a silo, comes in, puts his head down, nose to the grindstone, does an excellent job. But he's perceiving that maybe Maria needs to pay more attention to her job because sometimes she's a little late with her things because she's helping other people. So when the job comes up, they both are qualified, but guess who gets the job? Maria. Not Alberto, who was probably better suited for the job in black and white, who was more IQ intelligent, who was more focused really on the job. So why does Maria get the job? Not because she's a kiss ass, not because she's a brown noser, but because she learned to connect with other people. When people are looking for people to promote, they're looking at not only your hard skills, but what are your soft skills? Can you get people to buy into your ideas? Can you be there and be a team player, a real team player? Can you bring people together? Are you willing to go outside of your comfort zone and go help someone else? Go serve someone else that really may never be in a position to help you. How willing are you to serve someone outside of yourself? Alberto, super smart, probably deserved the job because of his output. But it was Maria using her EQ that got everybody's attention because she continually served outside of herself. She saw those opportunities. She connected with others. She made friends. She made colleagues. She created sponsors, all through the acts of emotional intelligence. I mean, there were some acts behind that, right? But when you have emotional intelligence, you get to open up those doors, you get to connect with people, and then you have opportunities to serve. If you want to be great, that's the other thing. That's part of the EQ. That's another reason why you do it. Because the one who knows how to serve another person's vision, other people will come to serve yours. So if you're not getting what you want, then you need to just ask yourself the hard question. And you need to be honest with yourself. Maybe you're not getting the opportunity because you're not connecting with people. Because you're putting yourself in a silo. Because you're not investing in yourself by investing in how to connect with other people. Everything you want is connected to someone else. And if that job won't promote you, guess what happens? If you are ready and when you are ready, you can go interview somewhere else for a promoted job, the job that will give you that promotion. And you're more likely to get that because you're coming with the attitude of, I'm a team player. And maybe the company you're with just doesn't have the opportunity for you, or they don't have, the funding, or maybe they just, some management, they play games and they have their favorites and maybe you don't fit their favorite. And that's okay. Don't get mad at them because they're playing favorites. See the game for what it is and then go get what you want. You're not married to them. You're not a tree. Move. If they're not giving you what you want and you feel like this is really the time for you, then make the changes. Make the change. But you have to You have to invest in emotional intelligence. So that was the fake story. And I remember doing this when I was doing my certification with HACE, mujeres and HACE. Hello there. And, we had that as an assignment, and everybody said all these other things. I'm like, everybody missed the point. Everybody in that room missed the point. The only reason Maria got the job is because she had high EQ. Because they were both great performers. They both had great reviews. But it was Maria who ended up connecting with everybody. And she was continually doing that. And she was seen that way. And because she had a high IQ and she knew how to effectively communicate with somebody else, she was the one who was picked for the job. She didn't have to know everything. She was intelligent in IQ, but she was more intelligent in EQ. She worked it. You can work that too. Now here's a true story. So I was a career coach last year for HACE's event that they have in April. I think last year was in May. Don't remember when it was, but it was around that time frame. And I was so blessed by the experience. It was amazing. And so after the event, they had this, really great, like a little after party. So they had drinks and they had appetizers and music. It was phenomenal. So I'm walking around and I see this table and I'm talking to people and they're from United. So I go and I sit with them and we're talking about, I said, well, I was a career coach. So then I end up talking to them for an hour. And one of the questions that came up, and it comes up quite often, frankly, in my conversations with minorities, is that how do we get our Anglo bosses to see us, to hear what we're saying, to understand that our culture is different? Because they just don't understand some of our cultural differences, even though we're all American, but we have all these subcultures, we're still holding on to our heritage, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's not. And I said, it's not their job to receive you. It's your job to connect with them. And they just looked at me like, what? I said, the one who wants to be understood the most is the one who has to do the work, period. The one who needs to be understood, who wants to be understood the most, needs to do the work, period. Don't expect someone else to just receive you. Don't expect someone else to just give you favor. And I find this even with Christians who are like, well, the favor of God. Yeah, the favor of God will come upon you, but you need to do your, why are you making it harder? Do what you can. You're smart. He gave you a brain. He gave you personality clusters. He gave, a personality gift cluster in that. Maybe you weren't born charismatic and you weren't born with a high intuition when it comes to people, but that's something that you can learn. You could absolutely learn that. Absolutely learn that. So I'm talking to these people and I'm like, well, if you want them to hear you, then you need to learn the languaging in a way that they can hear you. They need to be able to bring down their walls. You need to connect with them, and then you can make your case. But if they can't see you past your languaging because you want to be understood so bad, but you're not speaking in a way that they can receive it, then that's why you keep on getting brushed off. They're like, yeah, like they mentally ascend. They say the right things like, yeah, we get it. They don't get it. Or, they really don't get it. And they don't want to say they don't get it because if they're in upper management, they don't want to feel stupid. So if you want to understand, if you want to be understood, and it's not going to work 100% of the time because some people, they don't want to understand. They're prideful. Their ego gets in the way. But, most of the time this works beautifully. It works beautifully. But you're going to have to do the work. That's how I've gotten promotions. That's how I've gotten recruiters who have found jobs for me, great jobs. How they fought for me, fought for what I wanted, and they will come back with more. That's why when I've gone into interviews, they will last for 4 hours, and I will get an offer the same day, and they will give me more than the offer was on paper. because they were like, we're serious. We're going to show you that we're serious. We want you, and we're going to throw more money at you. So you know that we're going outside of our initial budget without you even having to ask. That's favor. But I've always been kind of sensitive to be able to connect with somebody. And I know more now because I put the work in, I put study in. You have to do this. If you want to be successful in what you're doing, and you really want to take that seriously, that should be like your number one agenda for 2019. Raise my emotional intelligence. So how can you do that? I prefer to use the DISC model because it's easier for me. I can read people faster, and that way, if I read them, then I know how to connect with them, right? Because the point of communication is to connect. And I want to connect with them. I know what I'm bringing to the table. I know what my gift clusters are. I know how I can change and impact their life. I'm a transformational strategist. I know that I have the answer that they're seeking. But if they can't hear me, if they can't see me, then it's just noise. And yes, we need to pray and believe. But how we're going to show that we believe, that we have faith? Through our actions, because faith without actions is dead. It doesn't mean anything. If you say you have faith and that God is going to grow your business, guess what? You need to get ready. If you believe that He's going to be opening up doors for you and that He's going to give you favor in front of kings, and kings are just people who have authority and have position and know people, how are you showing Him that you're serious and that you're expecting it? Part of your faith walk is to prove it. What are you studying to make you better at what you're doing? How are you honoring your craft? How are you honoring the business that you're believing for, that you're calling in, that you're speaking out, that you're expecting? Is your daily agenda showing that you're serious about what you say you want? This stuff is not really hard to learn. It isn't. That's why I keep mine simple. And plus, the guy who did the disc, he also created Wonder Woman, who's one of my favorite characters. And I grew up watching Linda Carter, who's Latina, so, half Latina. So I was like, woo! Wonder Woman's half Spanish. So it's easy for me, somebody who's dominant. You know who they are. Everybody has all these energies, right? So you have this energy of someone who's, when you're in your dominant stage, when you're feeling more dominant, you're vision casting, you can see the whole picture, you're walking real fast, you're talking really fast, you don't want to be bogged down with the details. Someone who is an influencer is very much the same as a dominant, except that they're more people orientated, and they're the storytellers, they're the innovators, they're the creatives. Then you have somebody who's like the salt of the earth, who is the opposite of the dominant, but they tend to be attracted to them because opposites attract. But they're more like the influencer, where they're people. But someone who's the salt of the earth is slower than, they're not slow, they're just slower than the dominant or the influencer. The dominant and the influencer, they have that same thing in common, where they're full of energy, they have places to go, they don't like a lot of details, they're visionary people, they just want the big picture, So that's, and a person who's an influencer, you'll be telling them and you'll see like, and they'll be like nodding, and you'll think, are they listening to me? But they've actually checked out because you've given them too many details. Now, the person who's a salt of the earth, they like details. They're a team worker. They're actually the backbone of teams. They make great project managers because they're inclusive. They want people to feel included, and they know what it takes to run a great project. And then you have people who are the people who are very steady, the cautious people. And they're the ones who have critical thinking. They're the ones who can poke holes in anything because they can see the pieces that you're missing. They're like the salt of the earth people, where they're slower than the dominant or the influencer, and the cautious one, right? They're the ones who, if you send them to your website, they will read every single page, every single word. Seriously. Like, they're the people where, you know, they say stories sell, you know, facts tell, but stories sell. Not with them. The more facts you can give them, they love that stuff. They want to know. They love all those details. And the more details you can give them, the better. But they also suffer from analysis paralysis because it kind of gets stuck in a loop. so, you know, everybody has like the downside of their gift cluster. Most people you all for energies, right? But you usually have two of them that is a combination, and then the other two rise in different occasions. For instance, like I am in my natural state, if I'm left alone, I am a salt of the earth combined with the influencer. So, you know, family, friends, hanging out at home, loving to do project work, being inclusive with people, teamwork, you know, harmony is very important to me. Those kind of things. But when I'm with people, I flip it, and I'm, you know, depending on their energy, then I can be the influencer, you know. So I do stories and I seem funny because I'm kind of like on, you know. But that's when I'm around certain people, and that kind of brings it out in me. So that's more natural for me. But when I'm at work, I'm a task animal, which is somebody who is a dominant, you know, critical thinker, or flip critical thinker dominant. So I'm very focused. I can work in a silo. I can work with a team or by myself. I get a lot of things done, that came from my mom, because I'm the kind of person, influencers, and you'll notice because they'll be like, ooh, squirrel. You know, they get distracted really easy by they love the new stuff, the new tech, whatever's new and fresh and exciting. They want to go run after that. But, you know, and I'm like that. I love all that stuff. I was just telling my sister, I hate Todd. I think Gross is his last name, because every time I get one of his emails, I'm like, dang it, Todd, shut up and take my money, because he's always connected to cool tech. And my sister's like, I told you not to read his emails, because he's a phenomenal marketer, and he knows how to sell it, and all these things are like an incredible price. And I'm like, but I want it. She's like, but what are you going to use it? I don't know, but I want it. Because I love the shiny in you. So she's like, I told you, stop reading his stupid emails. Like, I know, is that he's so good at what he does, and he's totally right, you know. And I always think I'm going to use stuff, and sometimes I use it, and sometimes I don't, but then I go back to it later on. But see how it's like, oh, squirrel, thought came in and I wanted to explain it. But that's the disc, right? So DISC. So you can see yourself in this. So somebody who is a dominant, when they're in their low vibe, right, energy, they come off as a bully. They come off as really rude, very crude. They can be very short with people when they're in the lower vibe. So in the high vibe, you know, when they're at their best, they're great at vision casting. They're great at making sure that the project runs on time, that things are done timely, and that everything runs smoothly. But when they're low vibing, they're kind of a bully, and people are afraid of them. And they kind of like it when people are afraid of them, because they don't understand that really they would get farther if they knew how to get more people on their side that doing things because they want to do them versus they're scared of them. You can always get more out of someone when they like you, when they're for you, when they understand your vision and they're excited about your vision, because then they can buy into the vision and they'll do great things for you. But when they're scared of you, they're only going to do what you ask them to do. And the performance is not going to be to their best because they're afraid, and now they're putting in filters. That's a whole other rabbit hole. And then you have the influencer, right, who's very creative. But when they're low vibing, they can be a gossip, because they don't, and they can say yes, and they'll say yes to everything because they want to be liked, and then they don't follow through, and then they come off kind of flaky. Because they haven't learned that no is a full sentence, and because they want to be liked, and when they're pressured, they tend to gossip. They're very creative. Learn the value of shut up, because then you're not going to be trusted, and then you're going to miss opportunities because people don't know that they can trust you or what they have to say to you. It's when they're in the low energy. And someone who's in a low energy for a salt of the earth, like the influencer, they tend to say yes to everything. And they won't confront. That's what they have in common, because they're people. And if like you're a double people person like me, and also a double task person on the other side when I work. But they have to be careful with saying yes to everything, because they will compromise for the sake of harmony versus compromising because it's good for everybody. There's a difference. And then they're overburdened and they're wondering why they feel like they're always getting crapped on. They're getting crapped on because they don't put up good boundaries. People are going to treat you the way you allow it. And if they know you're always going to say yes, they're going to keep on giving you things. There are tactful ways for you to say no. And then you have the critical thinker who, in their low vibe, are critical, period. Not thinking, but critical. It's like swords coming out of their mouth. They cut people up. And they're saying, well, and they all say, well, it's just the truth. It could be. But the truth spoken out of love doesn't do the person who's hearing it any good. They're only receiving the swords. They're not receiving the criticism to be constructive because it's coming out sharply. And so critical thinkers tend to see the pitfalls. And so they can be seen as a negative Nelly, as someone who's always seeing the negative and never sees the positive, as someone who's not optimistic at all. And, that's kind of their function almost. They're great when you're creating something because they're seeing what you can't. And so you can take their insight of why it won't work and then create systems around that. If that person is right, what is the answer? That will save you so much money and time and frustration. So much. But in their low vibe, somebody who's a critical thinker just comes off as critical. And who wants to live under that? Who wants to do business with that? Who wants to partner with that when you're with somebody and they make you feel bad because they're low vibing, because they have not leveraged their personality cluster? And a lot of them don't want to learn this. And it's a shame because they're the ones actually who have a lot of the answers of why things don't work. And that's needed, again, to save you time and money and effort. Your IQ means nothing if you do not know how to connect with people. It'll take you so far, but it will never take you as far as you can go if you will only honor yourself and honor your business the way you say you want it. So that's your Wisdom Wednesday nugget. That is really the secret sauce to prosperity, because everything you want is connected to someone else. So invest in yourself by investing in tools that will help you in this area. There's so many different things. I have a resource called How to Get Everything That You Want. It's kind of a 101 on EQ, and I'll leave that link below for you later on if you're interested in that. But there's so many things on YouTube. Go to YouTube University if you don't want to pay for it, It's going to be good, fast, or cheap, Things are good, fast, or cheap. So, if it's going to be good and fast, it may not be cheap. If you want to go the cheap route, it's not going to be fast for you. You're going to have to go through a lot of videos before you figure out which trainers are really good at it. And then invest in yourself. Take 10 minutes a day. Learn something about effective communication. Oh, there's one guy, if you're going to go on YouTube, there's one guy that I totally love. His name is Dan O'Connor. And I love his phrase. It says Dan O'Connor, and then he has this, funny song. And he gives you the words. That's really what he does. He's a communication expert. And he actually gives you phrases that you can learn, especially for those. I think this is really great, especially for those who are salt of the earth people. Because a lot of times, and influencers, because a lot of times you guys, because you're people, you say yes too much. You don't know how to push back. You don't know how to you don't want to confront. You want harmony. But there has to be a balance to that. So if you're an influencer, you find yourself you're like that kind of person more in the energy, or a salt of the earth person, and I'll link that below as well. He's amazing. He is absolutely amazing. He comes out with content quite frequently. I bought one of his books. It was really, really good. And I comment and I share, and like I'm sharing about him right now because he's phenomenal and he's funny. I like funny. You know, you tend to remember things when people are funny too. And he has really great things, really great comebacks too. Because sometimes, you know, you don't know what to say. You're kind of like somebody like says something and you're like kind of stunned, especially if in a work environment, right? They might say something that, you know, is racist, or, you know, something completely off color. Hi, Carmen. Or, you know, something that you're like, how do I, you know, what they said was not right. How do I say something about that? You need to say something. You know, it's not, again, effective communication is about connecting. And sometimes in connecting, you need to speak the truth in love. You need to be able to push back. You need to be able to set the right boundaries. You need to let people know around you you're not going to tolerate that nonsense or that disrespect. Even if they weren't talking about you. If they're talking about someone else. Let them know that they cannot have that kind of negative, destructive conversation in your presence. Because what you allow will continue. And then whose fault is that? What you allow will continue. And if you don't want certain things in your life, if you don't want other things happening, you don't like what's happening in your life, then you really need to think about, what's my part in it? How am I allowing it? What is it about my communication that makes other people think that they can treat me this way? Those are hard questions. You may not like the answers. Yes, negative thinking. Ask yourself the question, what is it about me that people think they can say these things, they can do these things? There's answers for you there too. Are you not honoring your personality cluster? Are you not honoring other people's? Leverage the good in other people by connecting with them. So that way it's a win-win scenario every single time. And when people feel good about you, around you, guess what? That will bring you favor. They will do things for you without you even having to ask. Because they like you. Because you found favor in their sight. Because you bothered to stop and slow down enough to connect. It's all about connection. If you want it bad enough, you learn how to connect. And when you allow someone else to be free in your presence, because you're free, they'll feel free. It's wonderful to watch people when they feel free. It's an amazing experience. Hope this was helpful. I'll talk to you tomorrow for Transformation Thursday. Bye now.